Somebody has been leaving notes around my house. They're starting to freak me out. They started innocently enough. Don't forget your keys, read the first message, scrawled on a sticky note in loopy letters. It had been left on my fridge door. It immediately grabbed my attention because at the time I lived alone. I had no memory of writing it, and the handwriting didn't match mine or anyone I knew. I was slightly perturbed, but wasn't sure how to react in the end, so I just tossed the note and went to work. The second note came a few days later, left on my kitchen counter. The sticky note was pink this time, but still had the same distinctive loopy handwriting. Make sure to pack lunch today. Again, I was unsettled. Now, any normal person might have reported this to the police, but during this time, I was going through a major depressive spell. I had moved to a new city away from my friends and family and started a new job that I quickly realized I hated and didn't nearly pay enough. Home was lonely and my work was soul crushing. I had trouble enough getting out of bed each morning, let alone filling a report that I'm sure the police would not take seriously. Even more stressed, I crumbled up the note. However, I ended up packing a small lunch for myself. I usually don't bother to put any effort and just ate cafeteria food. But against my better judgment, I fulfilled the wishes of the note. That day, the cafeteria was closed. The main cafeteria fridge had broken over the night and many of the frozen lunches inside had gone bad. Management thought about it, how it would be better to shut it down for the day. A feeling of unease settled in my stomach after learning the news. It was as if the note predicted it. The notes continued throughout the following weeks. They would typically show up on random days, no more than 3 notes to a day. They were all left in obvious places in my apartment, all on sticky notes in that unfamiliar loopy handwriting. They began to grow more poetic. Take IA today. They will be back accident on your way home. Jeanette is going to offer you some cookies at the office. Politely decline. They will give you food poisoning. Mari has been on a diet. Compliment her on her weight loss. She'll end up thinking well of you. Of course, I tested these notes to see if they were accurate. Every time I ignored the advice, whatever it warned against came true. One day, a note said to pack an umbrella, and I purposely didn't. It was forecasted to be sunny that day, so any normal person wouldn't think to pack one. But sure enough, I got soaked that evening walking to my car. I was incredibly curious about the notes. There were so many questions I had about them, and those unanswered questions kept festering in my head. I tried writing notes back in return and leave them out, but I never got a response. I spoke out loud and asked questions if or in case the note writer could somehow hear me. But it only made me feel foolish. I'd occasionally make a surprise visit home at odd hours, just to see if I could catch the note writer leaving their notes. Of course, I never caught them. I tried to installing cameras in my apartment, even making sure all the cameras were completely hidden. But the next day, I found every single one of the cameras inside completely torn out and placed in the kitchen, with a single note next to them reading, "Never do that again." The notes stopped coming after that, which made me deeply regretful. I had grown accustomed to the notes, and I began to rely on them even. They significantly improved my life over the last few months, both mentally, financially, and socially. I started making friends at work thanks to their advice, and for the first time in my life, I was even a bit popular. My managers, who before the notes didn't pay interest in me, now value my presence and would ask my opinions on projects. It was no secret I was on my way to promotion. Could I still do that without the notes? I also valued the notes as a friend, as weird as that sounds, or more like a guardian angel. Wherever they were from, they were always protecting me. I felt in the future was suddenly unknown and dangerous every time some mild annoyance popped up from bad traffic to stress out work situations and even a minor paper cut. I thought about how this is all probably could have been avoided if I still had the notes. The next week, a bright green sticky note appeared on my bathroom mirror. Don't forget to call Mom today. It's her birthday. I nearly cried. I just had to slack in my investigation and just accept things as how they were. Slowly, the fog on my depressive spell began to lift, and I could feel myself returning to how I used to be. My confidence rose, and for the first time in a while, I felt equilibrium with my life. I went out, cracked jokes, and even managed to clean my apartment. I also managed to get a girlfriend somehow. Her name was Amanda. I met her at a pub when I was out with my buddies. The best part of all this is that for some reason she seemed to be actually into me. She was gorgeous and way out of my league, with long auburn hair that reached down to her back with soft brown eyes. Her laugh was lovely, and the lemon-scented perfume she likes to wear was intoxicating. She was the type of girl you could chat for hours and hours on, and she made me feel confident in myself. Her laugh was lovely, and the relationship was still new. So I was trying not to plan our whole future together in my head. But she was so lovable, it was hard not to. At some point, I barely thought about telling her about the notes. I've always wanted to tell someone about it, but never really had anyone to tell up until now. I decided not to, however, afraid she might think I was crazy. There was no point so early in the relationship making her think I was alone. Plus, I was afraid the notes might stop again. If whoever was leaving them clearly didn't want me looking into them, how would they react if I shared what was happening with somebody? So at the moment, I kept it to myself. Amanda had a hobby for cooking and had invited me to her house on Saturday for, in her words, the best fucking spaghetti you'll ever eat. I was pumped since this was the first time I'd actually visit her house. I was in a good mood that evening, and I was getting ready for the date. I hummed to myself, happily thinking about how lovely this was going to be, and went downstairs to grab my keys. On the kitchen counter was a new, hot, pink, sticky note. I picked it up instinctively. Kill your girlfriend. My brain stopped for a moment. I read it once, twice, a third time. The words flashing in my brain, but hitting an error every time. I sat the note down and got up feeling nauseous. Anxiously, I went to my car and started driving. I tried not to think about the note, but the words kept circling in my mind. Kill your girlfriend. The notes had never failed me before, and they were always in my best interest as far as I knew, which is immediately not much. Maybe they were wrong this time. Maybe it wasn't meant to be taken literally. Kill couldn't be a synonym for breakup, right? My mind kept trying to make a poor excuse about this whole way there. By the time I arrived, I was a sweaty mess and not a lick calmer. I pulled the sun razor to check my face, and a bright sticky note fluttered out. I went cold. The notes had never appeared outside my house before. Hand shaking, I picked up the note and read it. Kill Amanda. Take the gun from your glove box and shoot her. I looked at my glove box wide-eyed. I did indeed keep a handgun in my glove box for safety purposes. I wanted to puke to believe this wasn't happening again. I ignored the note and walked up to Amanda's house, trying to shake the message from my mind. She answered the door almost immediately after I rang the doorbell. Hey, what's up? She said with a bright smile. But when she saw my face, the smile dropped. You okay, Gary? What's wrong? She said in concern. Nothing. I lied, trying to force a smile. Well, actually, I think I have a bit of a stomach ache. Come in, she said, ushering me in. The inside of her house was cute, homely, and she fretted over me warily as she led me over to her kitchen table. She then took my hand and rubbed it comfortably. If you're not feeling up to spaghetti, we can always have it another time. Don't worry about it. Do you want any acetates or something? I smiled. The way she was so concerned for me over a simple stomachache made me fall in love with her all over again. Her pain with both love and guilt. The aroma of cooked spaghetti was also extremely strong, and even though she said it was fine, I knew it would probably be a bummer for her to pack it all away. That spaghetti after just making it. I'm fine, sweetie. I probably have a stomachache because I've eaten too much today. I was looking forward so much for your spaghetti. Her smile returned again. I always loved how fast she smiled at things. Well done, Mr. Hungry. Let me grab you a bowl. She left for the kitchen. I reclined back inside, sticking my hands in my pocket. I felt a crinkle of paper. Shit. I pulled the paper out of my right pocket. Take your chair and bash it. Her head in. I had a hard time controlling my breath as I stuffed the note back in my right pocket. I also felt paper in my left pocket, and against my mind screaming for me not to pull it out, I pulled it out, realizing that it was actually 2 notes crinkled together. Shakingly, I unwrinkled the first note. Do not eat the spaghetti. Shrugged. What's that, Gary? Asked Amanda behind me. A lady jumped out my skin. I stuffed the notes back in my left pocket. Oh, just some note from work. I forget what was in my pocket. That's all, I said in a weird voice. She frowned. Looked like she wanted to say something, but then thought better of it. Here, babe, she said gently, handing me a bowl. It looked like heaven. I wanted to puke. She sat next to me with her own bowl. She rested her hand on her hands. She looked at me excitedly, expectantly. I stared at her blankly. Well, take a bite, silly, she said, gesturing towards my bowl. I'm so sorry. I really need to use the bathroom. I jumped up and started looking for her bathroom. She jumped after me and looking confused. Gary, what's wrong? You've been acting weird. When I found the right door, I went in and locked the door behind me. She kept knocking and knocking. Gary, seriously, what's wrong with you? Is the stomachache that bad? Talk to me, Gary, please. I backed up against the bathroom wall, then sank down to the floor. I pulled out 2 notes from my left pocket again. This time, reading the second note, my heart sank. She is not Amanda.